the solids are sent to a giant enclosed tank called a digester. Here, a second kind of helpful bacteria eats and digests much of the sludge. This process is called anaerobic digestion because the digestion takes place without oxygen. The digester breaks down the solid sludge even further and pulls more water from it. It converts the sludge into carbon dioxide and methane gas. About half of the sludge is converted into these gases. The other half is dried and becomes a material similar to soil. The treatment plant uses methane gas as a source of energy that helps power its machines. The leftover sludge is often used on farm fields because it adds organic matter and fertilizer to poor soils. Other times, the sludge is sent to a landfill. The septic system, another way to deal with waste. Many homes in rural areas are far apart from each other. Building a sewerage system large enough to service homes so far away from one another would be expensive and impractical. Instead, these homes need another way to manage human waste. Each home sends waste to a septic system, which is a mini sewage treatment system that serves only one home. It consists of a septic tank and a drainage field. Both the septic tank and drainage field are located in the homeowner's yard. The concrete septic tank is buried underground. Any waste from the home runs straight into the tank. Inside the tank, the solids settle to the bottom and separate from the liquids. The liquids, called effluent, run out through a series of underground pipes into the drainage field and spread into the soil. The soil filters the effluent as it percolates through the ground, naturally removing harmful pollutants before they reach groundwater. The septic tank collects all of the solid sludge, which builds up over time. When there is too much sludge in the tank, the homeowners must have a septic business pump out the tank. Groundwater and sewage, a dangerous combination. Groundwater is water that collects naturally underground. Much of it comes from surface water, such as rain and melted snow, that seeps down into the ground and settles in the spaces between soil particles. The water sinks until it hits a hard layer of rock that it cannot get through. When enough water collects underground, it can rise back up to the surface in the form of springs, streams, lakes, and wetlands. Groundwater is a major source of our drinking water. Cracked underground sewer pipes can leak sewage into the soil and, in time, the groundwater. Sewage is full of very harmful microorganisms, which make people very sick and can even cause death. Sewage through the ages. Think the modern sewerage systems are gross? Think again. The first sewerage systems were built thousands of years ago in places such as ancient Greece and Rome. These early systems were a simple series of pipes and canals. They sent human waste and stormwater away from cities and directly into nearby waterways. This was a great improvement on flinging buckets of waste out of windows and onto the streets, and sometimes people. However, it polluted the nearby water sources with harmful bacteria that carried deadly diseases. The water made people sick. Over the centuries, sewage management improved little by little. Large cities, such as New York, still had a hard time managing waste, though, even in the 1800s. Because New York City was growing so fast, There were no sewage treatment plants. Sewage piled up all over the city. There were too many people and too much waste. People's homes had a privy or outhouse, which was sometimes just a hole in the ground. Since there was no way to flush, human waste would pile up in the hole. When the privy was full, a night soil man came to remove the backed-up waste. He came at night so people would not have to see him hauling buckets to the street and dumping them in his horse-drawn cart to be taken away. When the night soil man's cart was full, he would usually dump it in the nearest river. Sometimes the shorelines became so thick with poop that they had to be dug out before ships could dock. As if dumping poop into local rivers wasn't bad enough, some of the night soil men got lazy. They dumped their carts into the streets. Some people would allow their privies to overflow and wash into the streets. There were no storm sewers back then for the waste to wash down, so it would pile up where people walked and children played. The stench was unbearable. Do you know? Human waste wasn't New York City's only problem in the 1880s. It was common to see pigs, cows, and sheep roaming freely. These animals added huge amounts of manure to the streets, but horses were the city's biggest animal problem. Before the automobile, there were thousands of horses in the streets. A single horse produced about 24 pounds, 11 kilograms, of manure each day. In the mid-1800s, experts began to realize that streets flowing with waste were also flowing with deadly diseases. New York began building sewer systems so the waste would have somewhere to go.